Hello and welcome to the MyVA Dayton Podcast, coming to you from Dayton, Ohio. This is the show where we talk with veterans in the Western Ohio region to share their stories and share what's happening at the Dayton VA Medical Center. I'm Scott Leese, your host, with co-host Greg Tucker. We have with us today a U.S. Army veteran, Timothy N. Pennartz. He served over 21 years of service in the infantry in the United States Army and retired in 2016. Timothy began his military career in 1995 as an infantryman in the 82nd Airborne at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He served in numerous roles spanning from rifleman, machine gunner, to a senior enlisted advisor worldwide for the island of Haiti, the sands of Middle East, to the peninsula of South Korea. Timothy had multiple deployments to Haiti, Afghanistan, and Iraq during the global war on terrorism during his time on active service. After leaving the armed services, he was called again to service, this time in federal service as a DoD Army civilian foreign military sales analyst. Timothy is totally committed to serving the veteran community and currently serves as a veteran service officer with the Greene County Veterans Service Office. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you here, Tim. Before we get to know more about you, we're going to put you to the test. That's right. It's time to play Don't Tell Me I Think I Know That. This is the game where we put our guests to the test of their knowledge of military trivia. It's also a game where our listeners can play along to see if their minds are mired in mounds of military minutia as ours are. Are you ready to take this challenge?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
All right. You are ready. So here's your first question. When would you most likely use the acronym SPORTS, S-P-O-R-T-S? Would it be A, when firing a weapon, B, the Rooster's Bar and Grill, C, during physical training, or D, when setting up a site?
Slap, pull, observe, release, tap, squeeze. That's for malfunction remedial action.
All right, so I'm guessing that would be A, when firing a weapon.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Yes. This is an Army doctrine for correcting a malfunction, but in combat situation where every second counts, this process is cumbersome and inefficient. Here's how to perform combat sports. Go ahead, say it again.
Slap, pull, observe, release, tap, squeeze.
There you go. So basically that is the best way to handle your weapon in a combat situation. Fantastic. So here's your second question. When does a soldier immediately attend AIT? Would it be A, after a soldier is promoted to sergeant, B, after a soldier graduates from basic combat training, or C, being sworn in, or D, after a soldier receives disciplinary action?
It's going to be immediately after their basic training.
That's right. Similar to a trade school, advanced individual training schools teach soldiers the technical skills needed for their specific Army job. Most soldiers attend it immediately after basic training. So now here's your third and final question. You're doing great. Let's see if you can go for the gold here. If you are heading to DFAC, D-F-A-C, what will you most likely be doing there? Would it be A, doing push-ups, B, running, C, eating, or D, pass the keg, it's liberty time?
You want the honest question? The honest question is probably all four of those, but it's normally a dining facility.
That's right. So you're gonna be eating, yes. Yeah. Army term for the mess hall is dining facility. It's abbreviated DFAC, usually on the sign in front of the building. So, Greg, what has Tim won for playing our game today?
For answering all those questions correctly, we have a set of 4 Dayton VA industrial strength chip clips designed by NASA's aerospace engineers to keep your chips crisp on your next stellar space journey or wherever you may be traveling in the near future. All compliments of the Dayton VA.
So yes, use those chip clips in good health and safely. They are industrial strength. We don't want you to pinch your fingers in those, so be careful with that.
Not making any promises.
Yeah,
I'm an infantryman.
Not to be operated by anyone under 10 years of age. So Okay, we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll hear more from Tim about his military service and his civilian career.
I was in the military. I didn't know that when I left, I was eligible for health care through the VA. I thought you had to be disabled or been wounded. Another vet told me I should check it out. Now, I have the care I need at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
Call 937-268-6511, extension 2159 to enroll, or visit dayton.va.gov.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you're having a tough time or thinking about suicide, you're not alone, and there's hope. VA's Veterans Crisis Line has responders who listen and help. Many are veterans or have veteran family members and friends, so they're prepared to address your challenges. Don't wait. Dial 988, then press 1.
And we're back with U.S. Army veteran Timothy Pennartz. Tim, let's start off with this question first. Are you a native Ohioan?
So I call Ohio home. My dad was in the military, so I was a military brat, moved around a lot. But he settled here and graduated from Fairborn and joined the service from here and back home here.
So yeah, while you call this home, and you were born here, but you said you're military brat. Do you remember any other places that you lived? What's your first memory as a military brat?
First one coming to mind with you asking me that question is moving from Korea. We lived there till I was 7, and my mother's Korean. So I was born in Landstuhl, actually, when my dad was stationed at Ramstein Air Force Base, and then moved to Korea right after that. So I never stepped foot on American soil till I was about 7.
Wow.
And with my dad working quite a bit, the primary language in the house was Korean. So I didn't speak very much English other than to my dad because it was
Annyeonghaseyo.
So it was a little difficult coming to the States, and the first place he got stationed was Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about holding me back a grade because I didn't speak enough English.
Really?
Yeah, even though I went through DoD schools there, it was very basic, and we've been in the 70s. It was very relaxed. I think most of the teachers there would have been Korean or spouses that were stationed there. So yeah, I came with a very limited vocabulary in the English language. So my mom made a rule immediately then that there was no more Korean to be spoken in the house, and she went to English school in the evenings, and then I would have to, because the worst thing that would have happened for her was that I'd be held back a grade, and the Korean culture is kind of shameful. It's like, not my baby, not going to be held back. So we
right. So did she know English well enough then? Or, I mean, since you were speaking.
No, not at all. Yeah, just basic stuff in the house.
So she was learning English the same time you were.
I was. Yeah. And it kind of made a rule. My brothers were younger. They were 2 and 3, so they didn't have that much of a challenge. They understand. And then the rest of the time in my household, it was always, broken Korean English, depending on what mood my mom was in and which one was easier to express her emotions.
I'm guessing when she was frustrated with her children, it wasn't in English.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're pretty good boys, angels. Never frustrated her.
So you spent a lot of time overseas. You came to the United States. You grew up here. You were down in Keesler. And where did you go from there?
When we left Keesler, my dad got stationed, I want to say it was Germany again. Spent a good part of grade school years there, and then came back. We were in Minot for a year. I think that was only a year or two, Minot Air Force Base, and then came here to Ohio. So most of my junior high to high school, I was stationed here.
Did you go into the military right after high school?
I didn't. Didn't think that was going to be something that I wanted to do immediately. There was definitely some feelings of maybe wanting to, because I was comfortable with that lifestyle, moving around, making friends everywhere. I wasn't afraid of it, but I wanted to try and give college a try, and I gave it a try. Went to Wright State for a minute because it feels like it was actually just a minute in my life, but then realized, I probably needed to get out of town to make some differences and make some changes and, take that next leap to become, whoever I was trying to figure out who I was going to be for the rest of my life.
Right.
And me and a couple buddies talked about joining the service. And we kind of made this like little high schoolish kind of pact. We're all like, extremists, love doing high intensity stuff. I don't know if you guys know that old corn building down in Fairborn. I don't even know the name of it now, but there's this big building near downtown, and at night nobody was in there. We snuck in there one time, climbed to the top, and it was this
The elevator.
No, not
corn elevator.
No,
yeah, we took the ladder that had a cage around it all the way to the top, and there's this one I-beam that comes off the front of it. And we walked out on it, did some pull-ups off of it, came back. This is how cool we thought we were. But we made a pact then to go into service. One of us was going to go in the Navy, be a Navy SEAL. The other one was going to go into Marines and be a Marine Force recon guy. I was going to be the guy going to the Army and be, Green Beret and all I could be at the time. And there was one other buddy, and he went to the Army as well. We actually went through basic training together.
You left out the Air Force.
Yeah.
So they were thrill seekers.
You had four. Nobody was ready to go to the chair force.
No.
Huh?
Yeah, it was too intense for us.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
We weren't ready to make that kind of leap.
Gotcha. Okay. So you decided to go into the military. Was your dad in the Army as well?
He was in the Air Force.
So he was in the Air Force, and you went Army. What was the reaction to that?
He didn't mind at the time. He just thought, he just said, hey, if you want a better life, go to the Air Force. And I remember calling back a few times, maybe crying or whining about my circumstances or what I was having to go through.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, and he said, boy, I told you to join the Air Force. That was his exact words. And I was like, yeah. It's like,
well, we all have to learn our life lessons one way or the other. So
sticks better.
So you went on the buddy plan.
So we weren't on the buddy plan. It actually just worked out great that way. We're both going in the infantry. We both had 82nd Airborne guaranteed in our contracts. We went to MEPS on different days up in Columbus, but I went up there with the one-track mind that I was going in the infantry. Didn't know about the 82nd Airborne contract. They just told me it was available. I was like, you're going to tell me that I can jump out of airplanes for, immediately, we're guaranteed. And he's like, yeah, and they'll pay you some extra money for it too, $90 a month. So I said, sign me up. And I remember the guy sitting there, he's like, well, your GT and ASVAB scores say that you qualify for these other positions that we had open. One of them was like some medical field. And I think one was like, I remember radiologist or whatever, radiology tech. And my recruiter, I'm the opposite of some of the stories you probably hear where your recruiter kind of lied to you, got you in. He's just like, well, you might want to think about that, man. It might get you a job skill out of it.
Yeah.
He's telling me 82nd Airborne is guaranteed. That's what I want to do. I'm jumping out of airplanes.
Well, anyone who's going to be doing lifts off of a beam, off of a corn elevator, that's not a leap. So
looking back at it now, definitely probably wouldn't be doing that today.
Yes,
sure.
Well, we all live and learn.
Luckily, we lived through that. Yeah.
So, what was your most memorable experience while in the military?
Oh well, there's so many. If I'm thinking of one of the good ones, as you aspire in the world of the infantry and the Army, there's different levels. You go to be an airborne infantryman, you could be a ranger qualified infantryman, you can go be a Green Beret. So I think kind of one of my proud moments was having my wife. We didn't have kids for a while. We just we got married 10 years later. We had children, but during that time frame, I really got to concentrate on what I wanted to do in my career. Got to go to a lot of cool schools. Airborne Pathfinder, Jump Master, but Ranger School I went to was probably one of the more challenging things that I went through. And having her come at graduation, seeing me about 65 pounds less than what I was when I went in, that was probably one of the proudest moments I think I had in my career, and pretty exciting. Yeah.
What about your deployments?
Yeah, so that's a different type of experience. The deployments, I think we were talking earlier, the guys that I deployed with are probably closer to me than my own blood brothers. You go through a lot of shared horrific experiences, a lot of shared experiences of camaraderie, and pulling through in very austere locations and different situations. So there's a very tight bond built between those men. You're part of a brotherhood or a tribe that's been through a similar experience. So yeah, those experiences were great. Some of them, thinking about them can bring up some anxiety for not just me, but for other individuals. So I wouldn't take it back for anything. I was pretty lucky during my career, my deployments. So yeah.
So like you were saying, the 82nd is a really tight group.
Oh yeah.
And they have a lot of reunions. They get together a lot. Do you participate in any of that?
I haven't been to one since I've been retired. I'm a part of the 82nd Airborne Association in the chapter here in Dayton. And we send somebody every year. In the last 2 years, they've sent somebody else. But I hope to get there and see it from a retiree's eyes. But being stationed there, I saw it every year. It was division review. Every year came about. And they had a big celebration. I was the guy in the ceremony doing the things, sweating in the North Carolina heat and humidity. But to be back there just to wander around and enjoy it, that would be something pretty cool to do. And I'm sure they'll have a lot of new things to show off during those static displays that I probably didn't get to play with when I was in infantry.
But do you stay in contact with any of your comrades from?
I do. But unfortunately, we stay in pretty good contact through social media, Facebook Messenger, Discord, and some other groups. Everybody's gone their different ways. Some of them are software engineers now. Some of them are, working as licensed social workers, myself working as a veteran service officer. So we've got one working as a financial consultant. So we started this group together that communicates with one another through Discord, and then we set little subgroups in there for finances, training, working out, anything. One's a personal assistant, so he'll post a plan in there for anybody, and it's just to keep us all engaged. But this all came about because we're just losing too many of the guys that we had deployed with to demons within when then they came back, and we'd lose some of them to suicide. But that would bring everybody together, and then all it took was one person saying, hey, we should do more for each other. Right.
And as we mentioned in previous episodes, that's one of the common threads that we hear quite often is about the demons within, as you say. Right. And that there's a lot of veterans who have to deal with that, and they're not always aware of all the services available to them.
Absolutely.
Specifically, the new 988 number that anyone can call in the hotline for mental health issues or suicide prevention. Want to make sure that our veterans are aware of that, but also that the Dayton VA offers quite a few mental health services programs out there as well for anyone who is struggling with everything they experienced in military service.
Right. Yeah, I've used both of those myself. I've used the 988. I've called not for myself, but for another veteran that I was speaking to, who was having some ideations.
Right. And that's actually a great point, because a lot of people think, well, the person struggling needs to call. It's not always the person that has the issue that needs to call. It can be someone else that is aware of the situation, that they can call in and say, hey, this person needs help. How do we get them help?
It's an uncomfortable situation. Some veterans may not know what to say in a situation like that, where somebody's being completely open with them. But when you call that 988 number and dial 1, you get somebody veteran specific who's aware, typically a veteran themselves. They're a licensed social worker or a peer recovery support specialist who can talk to them. And if they need that immediate help, they can get immediate emergency services out to them. And then again, connected to the VA services for follow-on care. And they got the Dayton Vet Center, which is amazing for post 9/11 combat veterans and stuff as well. They have I found them by accident. I was moved up here and was I thought I was calling the Dayton VA Medical Center saying, I just moved up from North Carolina. How do I get my stuff transferred here to have a primary care? And I called the Dayton Vet Center, not knowing what a vet center was. I just assumed that that's what they had here.
Right.
And the lady just started talking to me. She's like, hey, did you deploy, during this time frame? This is how you get connected. The director actually called me, Jay Wayne Scott, who's now the suicide prevention director for the VA. And we started having conversations and talking about programs that were there for veterans. So I've had nothing but an amazing experience since I've been back here with the VA. He helped me get connected with the Montgomery County Veterans Services, who have a veteran treatment court program. And I got involved in that, trying to advocate and help veterans going through some hard times. But basically that experience, I'll wrap it up. I know I'm going on.
Oh, no, that's fine.
That's great.
Yeah, so I essentially got into this. I was working as a GS on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. It's what got me transferred up here from North Carolina. And again, through those experiences where we started losing some soldiers, I realized one of the things I missed the most was just being there for soldiers when I was in service. Everybody used to bring me their problems when I was a platoon sergeant, first sergeant. Used to get frustrated with it, but somebody told me a long time ago, if they're bringing you their problems, it means because they have faith in you to help solve those problems.
Absolutely.
So I thought, I'm missing that. I don't do any of that. I talked to veterans here and there, started volunteering at the Veteran Treatment Court in Montgomery County. And then got connected with some of the VSOs there just in conversation because they were there at the court. Keith Carr, one of the guys that used to be a VSO there, now working out at Preble County as the director, gave me some good advice. And he says, I think this might be a good fit for you being a veteran service officer. You get to talk to veterans every day. Every situation is different. Somebody comes in for an ID card. Next thing you know, we're filling out paperwork to get them connected for 4 different, service-connected disabilities just because they're a Vietnam War vet, Gulf War vet. Just before I came here today to talk to you gentlemen, there was a guy I was just sitting there talking to. He's like, yeah, I'm deployed during the Gulf War. I was like, okay. Went over the list of presumptives from the PAC Act. He's like, yep, got that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you have a current diagnosis? Yeah. All right. Well, let's get you connected. So we filed the intent to file and then ran over here.
So, Tim, what are some of the challenges that you faced as a VS?
Oh man, that's tough. I'll be honest. It's been pretty, I don't want to say easy street, but I feel like it's like a glove you put on that's the right size. Everything just felt like the perfect fit. Main challenges is just, navigating the VA system on the benefit side. Knowing and learning all those things. There have been plenty of moments on my journey to becoming a VSO where I wished I would have thought, or I wished I would have known what I knew now back then, and probably could have helped more people or even done the different things for myself. I had a pretty fortunate experience getting out. I had a really good VSO, and I was injured in 2006. We had hit multiple IEDs during that deployment, and I was pretty close to a lot of them, and in one of them pretty serious. Had a lot of injuries myself, so they were all cataloged, and immediately got out and was service connected for a lot of the things. So now I use the Dayton VA and the Wright-Patt Medical Center because I'm a retiree. I can see the one VA doctor that's out there to help service retirees and anybody eligible for VA medical care. I've had a great experience down at the Dayton VA Medical Center. I feel like, and I don't use this, liberally, I feel like every time I go there, the red carpet's being rolled out for me. If I need to get an injection because I'm in a lot of pain, I'm in there within 2 or 3 days. I just went for one the other day. They had me at community care before, and I was trying to go through some of the civilian, caregivers. I was looking at maybe getting in there in 2 months. So I'm looking at 2 months of pain before I can finally get in there and receive some treatment, even though it's through the community care program. I got serviced a lot quicker and with a lot more care, in my opinion, through the Dayton VA Medical Center. So I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Now, what about some of the veterans that you are working with, that when you are trying to help them, as far as sometimes they may not come back.
Yeah.
Is that kind of frustrating at times? Or?
Yeah, sometimes. Just unfortunate. I wish I had more time to be able to chase those veterans, honestly. But we have such the op tempo for us in the office is we got quite a few veterans in need and scheduling appointments and coming in. I don't always have time to chase them down at a certain point, but I'd say that's That's the exception. That's not the rule. The rule is that most people who see that we have a office of county veteran service officers who genuinely care for them want to come back and talk to us. I'm not saying we're the greatest personalities in the world, but I'd like to think that, they can see in a conversation that we genuinely care for their well-being, and we're going to do everything we can to advocate for them. Some of the frustration I see with veterans, to go back on your earlier question and frustration, now it's spawning the juices in my brain, is that I think veterans maybe sometimes give up a little bit too easy because they get frustrated with anything. They get frustrated with trying to navigate the VA system, whether it be the veteran healthcare or the veteran benefits side. And they immediately make assumptions. But as soon as I sit down, and talk to them for 10, 15 minutes, I can tell you how much I advocate for the VA and the healthcare that they provide. But when they feel frustrated because they hear something from somebody, or they feel frustrated because they went once and they didn't get what they wanted immediately, they just didn't understand the system. You get assigned primary care manager. Primary care manager will then see you, or if you have other needs, they have other members of that team who can see you for other things. Get a referral. You get that referral internally. You'll talk to that department if you need a specialist. There's community care if you can't get in with 30 days or live too far away. A lot of them don't take the time, and I get it. I only know because it's based off experience, but I try to share that experience with them so it eases them a little bit.
But often a veteran's going to hear the bad experience from another veteran. They're going to hear either misinformation or the one bad experience they had, which all of a sudden sets the tone for it. For this is what it is.
Exactly.
And it's not really the case.
It's not. Yeah.
That
I haven't met one VA employee that I've went to that's there and said, I'm here to make life more difficult for every veteran that comes in here. It doesn't exist. So every time I've gone there, we're human beings. Some might have a good day or bad day coming into work, and but I mean, every time I've been there, honestly, it's been a great experience. I've found on the other side, I think veterans just need to be a little bit more understanding and have a little bit more patience to navigate the system. And I'm hoping the good experience that I share with them helps balance out maybe that bad story they heard from somebody at a canteen sharing a beer. Or even telling them a story that, you need to go connected for this, and they're comparing apples to oranges. Like, that person didn't have the same situation you did. So yeah, maybe they are being connected. But when we take the time and explain it to them and they see our genuine concern and that we're there to help them, we usually win them over pretty quick, in my opinion.
So how often do you hear veterans asking about the PACT Act now?
Oh, just about every day. Yeah, they hear something on the news, whether it be Camp Lejeune water, which is included in the PACT Act, or something about Agent Orange or whatever it is. They want to know the specifics of the PACT Act, and a lot of Vietnam War veterans just want to know what changed, and just let them know, hey, it added hypertension, high blood pressure. Along with this, a bunch of locations are also included.
And I think it would actually help our listeners to help educate them about what the PACT Act is. That's the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxins Act that the president signed into law last August. And it is a big difference between what the VA benefits were before and what they are now, because we have what we call presumptive conditions. It's presumed if you have this condition, you are now eligible for care or benefits, not just health care, but other benefits through the VA. And that's the big difference. You used to have to prove that the condition that you had was actually contracted through your military service. It's now presumed that it was obtained through the military service.
Yep.
And so if our veterans go to www.va.gov/PACT, that's www.va.gov/PACT, you can see a full list of theaters of operations and presumptive conditions that qualify veterans for additional benefits through the PACT Act. And the other thing I probably need to say is for those people who are already enrolled with the VA or the VHA for Veterans Healthcare, that actually expands care because, we're all, not all of us, but most people who are enrolled are familiar with service-connected disabilities in a percentage, and you can actually get your percentage increased for that if you qualify under the PACT Act. So that's actually expanding care for you. You may not have to pay copays anymore, for example. So we highly encourage all veterans to check out the information at www.va.gov/PACT to find out if they qualify for additional benefits under the PACT Act.
Yeah, I agree 100% that the presumptives have always existed. This just expanded the list of presumptives for Vietnam War vets, added presumptives for the Gulf War and post 9/11 veterans. The big thing for the Agent Orange Vietnam War veteran exposed veterans is that it added a lot of locations that you had to prove through other means previously, whereas the VA has kind of already acknowledged that you were in Thailand during this time frame. They're automatically giving you the presumption that you have this illness because of exposure to herbicides. So it makes, on the VSO side, things a lot easier for us, because now through a direct connection, we have to have three elements. We have to have something in service treatment records, we have to have a current diagnosis, and then we have to have a nexus. Well, with the presumptives, it takes two essentially out of those three things, and all we have to do is have a current diagnosis. The service treatment record shows that the veteran was there at that certain time frame. So our job is pretty easy, just filing the paperwork and getting them connected as long as they have that current diagnosis.
Absolutely. So you got a big event coming up here in the future, don't you?
Yes, we do. We actually have one coming up in September. It's going to be an event for veterans. We had an event previously on July 8th. Where it was open to the public. This one is going to be by registration for veterans specifically, or veterans family members to be able to register. And we've got some archery instructors that are going to teach veterans how to shoot a bow and arrow. If they already know, great, come on out. They can come on out and just want to, hang out with some veterans and shoot the bow out at a range here in Greene County. We're also going to couple that with a wellness hike, where we're going to go on a hike. We're going to split the group up into two and come up with some things to talk about along there and give people some tools to maybe get through some hard times. And then we're going to have a little competition and maybe some prizes there to see if somebody can win. Maybe we can get you to donate some NASA potato chip bag clips that we can raffle off. Maybe. No, I'm kidding, obviously.
I think we can provide a few of those too. Not a problem there.
We'll definitely have some prizes there, competition. We know veterans love to compete. And we always try to make it a good time.
So if someone's looking to find out about it, is there like a website or something?
Yeah.
Just go to your...
No, great question. There's going to be a couple different ways that they can find it. If they have Facebook, social media, they can go on Greene County Veterans Services. There'll be a post there about it and a link to register. They can go to Greene County Parks and Trails, because we're partnered with them for the venue, and they're providing the instructors and equipment to do as well. So they'll have it on their Facebook to include their website. Which is Greene County Parks and Trails, not Parks and Rec. I kept making that mistake and wasn't finding the right one. So it's Parks and Trails. And then, of course, our website for Greene County veterans. We've got a new website being stood up right now, so I don't have the address. It's still being developed, but it should be out here in the next couple weeks. Yeah.
And so what's the name of the event?
So we didn't name the event yet. It's Archery 101 for right now for veterans. That's what we have as a placeholder. As we get closer, we'll have a flyer and we'll push that out. It'll go out to the VA and all the other stakeholders.
And what's the time and place?
We don't have the exact location. September 28th, I believe, is the date. So once Parks and Trails lets us know exactly where it's going to be, we'll push that out with more detail for everyone.
Great. Well, it sounds like a fantastic event. So let's talk a little bit about your civilian career. You left the military and you went right into DOD service, federal service. What did you do exactly?
So actually, I started working while I was on terminal leave, not with the DOD. I started doing some contracting work. I was an instructor. It was an anti-terrorism course that they were teaching in and around Rayford, North Carolina, teaching people defensive driving, super secret squirrel driving, kind of spy stuff. It was kind of fun. Nothing really that serious, but it was pretty cool. We had an old airfield, and we taught people how to drive, shoot while they're driving, all that cool stuff, how to shoot into cars, out of cars. Had a really good time. Did that for about 3 or 4 months. And then a position came open. I was actually called by...
You mean you left the Get Smart position? the fun secret spy stuff?
It was pretty cool. Yeah. As an instructor, I mean, it was hard work. We're out in the North Carolina sun all day on the tarmac and on an airfield, shoot, moving and communicating like the whole time. It was a blast. But my old boss came, he actually had people coming through the course. Mm-hmm. And when they came through the course, he asked me, he's like, how you enjoying it? And I was like, yeah, it's fun. I like it a lot. I mean, it's a lot of hours, a lot of work, but they pay me well and I'm doing well. He's like, well, hey, I got a position coming open as a GS in the office. Is it something you think you might be interested in? I was like, yeah, shoot me the link whenever it comes open. Came open. They can do a by name request, which I didn't know at the time. If it was for a GS 11 position, I think, and if it's less than 12, they can do a by name request. But the position was actually a 12 position, targeted 11, target 12. So I fell into it. Worked out great. It was a lot of information because it wasn't something I was used to. It was all about foreign military sales and analyzing contracts. And I was specifically for the training side, which I had a lot of experience in. And even as an instructor, so I would make sure the training packages of the contracts were built so that when a country X is purchasing X piece of equipment, we can't just give them the used car and say good luck. We end up brokering the deal. It gets to them, and then we make sure everybody's trained up on how to use it. So there's a phased approach to that. So not anything too indifferent than what you do in soldiers and Navy or sailors and Marines and airmen. So it translated real well. It just had to make sure I understand the translation in their contract format.
Right.
And then
well, that doesn't sound as much fun as 007.
No, it wasn't.
But then you left that and you became a VSO.
I did. Yeah.
And how did that happen? I mean, that's a major leap.
Yeah, so it was a pretty drastic leap, to be honest. I was doing real well. I was kind of climbing the corporate GS ladder, whatever you want to call it, but started doing real well. Had a couple guys that I had served with who ended up leaving us too soon and left through drastic matters. It was affecting me a lot. It was right around the time from the withdrawal in Afghanistan. And I'm not saying the reason why they did those things was specifically because of that. That may have been a triggering point, but it's just suspect that it happened all in such a short time. Within 60 days, I think we had like 4 people that we ended up losing that I all deployed with at one point who I considered my brothers. And some of them were going through other things. But I wish I would have known, again, what I know now, and maybe been able to help them out with some of the services. Because as I made the journey, I think initially I called Montgomery County Veterans Services and said, hey, what do you guys got going on? Because I live in Montgomery County. And they were like, well, we got this event. Like, maybe you need to talk to this guy. He does veteran treatment court. And there's veterans here going through the veteran treatment court who are in hard times and need a mentor. So I volunteered as a mentor. Saw a couple people through the program and graduation. Matter of fact, got a graduation I'm going to this month for one of the guys that I was mentoring, but it's like a 12 to 18 month program. I met a lot of VSOs through that program. And when I met the VSOs and in talking to them, I was kicking around the idea of leaving my job anyway, because I wasn't kind of scratching that itch of wanting to give back to the veteran community. So he had recommended either being a veteran lawyer, or going back to school to be a lawyer. I was talking to another one about being a social worker. And just by circumstance, someone texted me as I went back to school and was going back to school to be a social worker, because I realized being a lawyer was going to be way more work. So I thought social worker was probably a better fit for me. I ended up finding out about the job at Greene County. And when I spoke to one of the veteran service officers that worked there at Montgomery County at the time, he thought it was a good fit and thought I would enjoy it and told me all about it. There's going to be some highs and lows, but, ultimately you're going to see veterans every day. You're going to listen to, 5 different stories. If you see 5 veterans that day, and you're going to try and pick through their story and find what it is, the root is of what benefits might actually fit for their situation, and talk about some other things and get to know a lot of veterans. So I gave it a shot. Luckily, I was offered the position by our director and our board, and haven't regretted it one day since then. I've met good people in the office. We have amazing staff at Greene County Veterans Services. In the last year that I've been doing it, I've learned more from them than I've learned in the past 5-10 years about anything, and they're always happy to help me and other veterans included. So to work in an environment where everybody's kind of one voice advocating for veterans all the time, and being able to come up with a program like the Warrior Resiliency Team and work with other veterans doing that and having a passion for it, I think I've really found the right size glove for me. So I think it's a fit.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear more about how things are going with you in the Dayton VA Medical Center.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you were exposed to toxic substances while serving in the military, a new law called the PACT Act may make you eligible for additional benefits and care. The PACT Act benefits veterans of the Vietnam era, Gulf War era, and post 9/11 era who were exposed to toxic fumes, burn pits, Agent Orange, radiation, and other environmental hazards. Survivors of toxic exposed veterans and veterans who served in specific countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Southwest Asia are also potentially eligible. Learn more about the PACT Act by going to va.gov/PACT or by calling 1-800-MyVA411. We at VA are here for you, and we're ready to get you the care and benefits you've earned and deserve. I'm Mike Richmond.
And we're back with Army veteran Timothy Pennartz. So, Tim, tell us what's your personal experience been with the Dayton VA?
Great question. I've had an amazing experience with the Dayton VA Medical Center through all the teams, the specialty care that I've been through them. It's been bar none. I think no other facility I can think of in the local area that does better service for veterans, because they understand veterans more. They understand the ailments that veterans would have, certain conditions. I know certain medical conditions or certain medical conditions across the board, but certain traumas or illnesses that take place while serving the VA Medical Center is just a lot more knowledgeable in my experience, and how that affects veterans, their families, and all that stuff is taken into consideration versus, coming in and just treating that medical condition without considering maybe some of the other things. And I'm not saying anybody does that intentionally, but I just feel like the level of care that the Dayton VA Medical Center and any other VA medical center I've ever been to seems to go a little bit more above and beyond, in my opinion.
Yeah. So how did you find out about the VA to begin with?
So the VA here or down in North Carolina?
Down in North
initially,
Carolina, yeah. How did you actually
honestly,
you walk through the door and say, I'm here?
Honestly, because they were building a brand new facility right across from my house where I lived in Rayford, North Carolina. And everybody was looking at this thing thinking, why in the world do you need that big a building and that many parking spots? And then we saw the sign coming soon, Rayford VA Medical Center, or Fayetteville, I think maybe they call it. Fayetteville had one, but it was in the northern part of town. I didn't know about that one until I had seen that one and why they were making that new one. But when I saw the old one, I realized real quickly why they were making a new one.
Yeah.
But I remember there being about 560 handicap parking spots there, and I was thinking, wow, man, this is going to be something big.
You know, you actually bring up a great point. You talk about the older facility, and it's amazing for many veterans to see the big transition that's gone over the decades for how the VA has modernized, and the facilities are top notch.
Yeah.
And it's if you actually go out and look at the studies that are done, the VA is not only the largest medical system in the nation, but it's rated top by the veterans it serves.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that you've actually seen that firsthand, that, there's that old hospital over there.
Yeah.
That maybe you have to wonder if it's haunted or
yeah, it did look haunted.
or how they keep the rain out. But now they've got these beautiful facilities that are top notch. And take advantage of state of the art, take advantage of all kinds of technologies, because that's the other thing, is that it's not just the hospitals, but the virtual care that you can get now, with the online appointments and the apps. There's an app
I love that.
for everything.
Yeah, the My Healthy Vet.
Yes.
I'm a pro at getting on the website, that app, getting my prescriptions refilled, having them sent straight to my house. For kind of a fat, lazy guy, that works out perfect for me. I don't have to make that extra trip. But.
Same here. Yeah. Email the doc or the nurse.
Secure message. They answer
exactly.
within, I usually get an answer within 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, immediately. So it's amazing that you have kind of that provider on tap, or on call, basically. You can't just dial them straight up. They got other clients and patients and stuff to take care of, but to ping them and just say, hey, I know we talked about this. I was a little unclear about this. Am I doing this, or do I need to go get some blood work? Then 24 hours, somebody answers me back. Yep, there's blood work ticket. This is a ticket number. Okay, thanks. Real quick and easy stuff. But it's been amazing. I've even reached out to them in secure message, asking specifically about things that I've gotten from my provider from community care, and kind of been unsure about, or maybe have some additional questions. I've reached out to my provider in a secure message, and he's answered me back and said, that's a good point. Thanks for the question. Here's some material. This is my take on it.
Right. Now, you talk about blood work. I'm going to give a little well-kept secret here.
Yeah.
That if you are going to the VA and you have to do some blood work and you've been fasting, they give you a meal voucher.
Really?
If you didn't know that, all you have to say, hey, yes, I've been fasting. Do I get a meal ticket? Yeah. And they will give you a voucher to go to the canteen to get some food.
That's a secret.
That is a secret.
It's a well-kept secret. Actually, it's not so well-kept. And I think I've just told it to the world now, but that's okay. But I got to ask, where else do you get that kind of service? I don't know of too many civilian care facilities that say, here's a ticket, here's $5, go down to the cafeteria and get yourself.
That's perfect timing, because I'm due to go in there and get some blood work. So I'm gonna test this secret out.
Yes. Get a little bit more than orange. Get some fried chicken.
We'll see what they got. I'm gonna go for broke.
Get yourself a nice healthy breakfast after you dropped in there and been fasting. So. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming in today, Tim. We really appreciate the time that you've spent with us. We love hearing your story and stories like veterans like you. So thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun. Appreciate you, gentlemen. Thank you.
I have one question for you, Tim.
All right.
And that is tagline.
Ooh, tagline. Heard one earlier. Sounded pretty good. Just do it. I'm going to say, call me. Call me. Greene County Veterans Services. Call Tim Pennartz. Let me get you connected. Let me help you out in whatever you got. Yeah, the phone number is 937-562-6023.
Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. Every day, hundreds of people just like you volunteer to help our veterans. You can help by simply sharing your time, lending a warm smile, a supportive hand, or a sympathetic ear to someone who needs it. Everyone can do something to make our veterans know how much we appreciate their service. What will you do?
The Dayton VA changed my life. There was a time I was jobless and homeless, didn't know where to turn for help. I felt like there was no hope for me. Then I learned about the Dayton VA. They helped me find the help I needed to get back on track. I received support, got a job, found a place to live. I got my life back.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's MyVA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans service organizations, often known as VSOs, offer many services for veterans and their families. To learn more, go to va.gov.
We want to say thanks again to our special guests for taking time today to share their story. We truly enjoy hearing stories from veterans from across the region and learning more about how they found care through the Dayton VA Medical Center. And as always, we want to thank our listeners for joining us and remind them, if they are a veteran and are not enrolled, to enroll with the Veterans Health Administration to receive health care benefits through the Dayton VA Medical Center. It's easy and it doesn't cost a thing. You just need to be a veteran. The simplest way to start enrollment is to call our enrollment and eligibility office at 937-268-6511, extension 4105. They can schedule an appointment for you to come to the Dayton campus or help make an appointment at one of the surrounding community-based outpatient clinics located at Springfield, Richmond, Lima, and Middletown. Again, that number is 937-268-6511, extension 4105. Veterans may also enroll by visiting www.choose.va.gov/health. While there, you can choose from applying online or by phone or by mail. It's just that simple, really. As I said before, it doesn't cost a thing to apply. So what are you waiting for? Call us today. Or if you know of a veteran who is not enrolled, have them call to start taking advantage of this benefit. If you're a veteran, it's your VA. Sign up today. Join us again for another episode of MyVA Dayton with the Dayton VA Medical Center. Our episodes drop the 1st and 15th of each month. I'm Scott Leese with your co-host Greg Tucker. Thanks again for listening to MyVA Dayton.